The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show. It's brought to you with Levi Solicitors, who will do you a 10% discount on your legal fees at levisolicitors.co.uk/The Square Ball. Dan Moylan with you, along with Michael Normanton and Rob Conlon. And we're doing heroes and villains in the final parts of this week's show. The last time we'll do this until we get back after Christmas. The Ken Bates Villain of the Week award. Nominations for people who have made us a bit sad in the last week. These nominations predominantly coming in from our TSB Plus members. We can obviously choose to adopt these, throw them out, whatever we want to do. In the Leeds corner, Jesse Marsh, the defence, Cooper and Ayling specifically. In the opposition corner, Spurs as a whole, Harry Kane, the refs, VAR, and others, FIFA for the World Cup, international managers for the World Cup, Pascal's Barber for the hair, and Bournemouth for Bielsa by the looks of it. Where do you want to go with this?
Jesse Marsh, I suppose. Start on him. He got a fair bit of flack from people for the subs. Joffy's mum's knickers.
We're so sorry, Lynn.
Has been in touch. Who nominates Marsh for his shit subs again? Who sends two kids in the 88th minute when they need 50 minutes or more? Useless. Get rid.
I mean, you only read that out for the name, didn't you?
Absolutely correct. Yeah, it was funny. It made me laugh. Yeah, and other people just kind of criticising the game management stuff. But as we said, I don't know. Bringing on a defender does seem sort of sensible in a way. I can kind of see why he would have done it.
I think as we were sort of saying on Propaganda Moscow was saying, until he's got a sustained period of credit in the bank, I think from a run where you go, we look good in this run, people are going to pick holes in everything that happens that's negative and maybe not appreciate the positive so much. But does he get nominated in the heroes section that follows this? That's the question, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, no. I mean, maybe someone said something nice. I can't remember. But yeah, I think I'm sort of where Roger is on him. He says the team seems to win or lose independently of him. Always a long explanation of the problem, but never seems to know how to solve it. Defending has been shocking all season, and that might be.
All managers do that though.
Is that just minimising Jesse's role because we're still not sure of him?
Yeah, I think that's unfair. I'm still not convinced by him, but I'm hoping to be convinced by him. But I think that's unfair because all managers explain the problem and say we need to do this better. I mean, look at Frank Lampard.
Yeah,
I mean, you don't want to compare Marsh to Lampard and his.
Most of it, they all do it.
Lampard does it slightly differently though, because he says there was nothing wrong with my instructions. Yeah. It's the players who are not. If everyone did as I told them, we'd be top of the league.
But Marsh has said that about not implementing game plans, hasn't he?
Marsh does have a touch of that where he was saying the tactics were fine, basically.
But that's what they all do.
You didn't do the tactics enough.
Mikel Arteta, where did it go wrong today? And he'd say the same thing. We made mistakes here and there. It's just what they do.
To be fair, I've found it difficult to get too worked up about Marsh for this game. And it's been weird because he was given these 3 games and it was so obvious they were desperate to give him until the World Cup break. And it might be because the World Cup break is here and it just feels like a bit of a pause result of brief. But you do look back and think, well, I probably expected him to be sacked by now. If those 3 games, I definitely didn't expect us to get 6 points. You think, whether it is because of him or in spite of him, they've got through it kind of thing.
And it's a results-based game, and if you get the results, then you're going to be judged well. If you don't, you won't. And we seem to be sawtoothing up and down between the two at the minute, don't we? But let's just see. Don't pick on Jesse. He's all right. Let him go do his athletic column and have a nice time.
And I'm as much as I've been unconvinced by him, I'm so glad we don't have to get back on the managerial merry-go-round and because we'd be linked with Deitch and Allardyce and it'd be all those people, wouldn't it? And then Victor Orta would pluck someone out of the Macedonian 3rd division and everyone would be cross about that instead. And I don't know. At least we know what we're getting with Jesse.
No manager's perfect, are they? So, there's a lot to be said for stability.
Yeah. And the players do seem to like him. Like they are playing for him, aren't they? I think the players. He doesn't have that impression of people trying to get him sacked.
Yeah.
Not anymore anyway. Maybe did a bit of some of the earlier games. But the fact we've turned it around from that.
Yeah, the defence gets picked out, though. Having said all that, the defence is fucking shambolic. In particular, Richard Butler saying collectively they need to start figuring out how to stop us looking so vulnerable. We leak goals so easily. I suspect it goes back to what I was saying about having seen Man City the other week. Just better players, I think, is probably the only way that you get around this one.
I don't think it is just better players. We concede the same goals all the time. It's not so much individual mistakes because it seems that the players will do the same stuff all the time. So if it's so repeatable as a way to score against us, I feel like it's it's a fault with the system.
I've inadvertently deleted the clip in which this is addressed, but it was one of our American.
Well done.
Yeah, so thanks, American listeners. So my apologies for having deleted the clip, but who basically said if you actually look at the defensive players that someone like Leipzig have, they're all quick and strong, and whereas ours are not. And that's maybe what you need. You need players who are better suited to dealing with the Red Bull requirements defensively.
I mean, who knows? We may buy a left back that will solve everything.
Never.
Yeah. Or we might just try and talk up Junior Firpo again, which seems to be the preferred method of not buying a left back, doesn't it? But
there was some singling out of Cooper and Ayling in among this. We also got picked on by Jane, Cowgirl Jane, says, "Y'all." In fact, you want to read the other good with the authentic American accent? No, come on, you do it.
No.
Come on, you do it. Go on.
No, because I know what Jane's voice is like, so
it's really nice.
So
but it's funnier than for if you make her sound like Jessie from Toy Story.
Do your nicest American accent.
Y'all for being a bunch of fucking grumps.
No, you've done it. No, exaggerate it, Michael.
Oh, y'all for being a bunch of fucking grumps.
There we go. That's it.
We lost by 1 point. It's not a point. The number 4 team, and y'all sounded like you've been forced to kick puppies. I quite like kicking puppies. Just to stick to the facts.
Cheer up, says Jane.
Yeah.
No, we're not having that. I don't know if we've even put that in. Why did I mention it?
I thought we were quite positive, actually, after Spurs, considering. I mean, it was for Leeds fans.
There was a lot of fun to be had in that game. And, we can spend our lives pulling it apart, can't we, with everything that's wrong. Just enjoy it. Harry Kane, opposition corner. Harry Kane, refs and VAR. We're putting the refs and VAR in the opposition corner because they were clearly in favour of Spurs. And Spurs in general, Boney M, not a fan.
Wedge refers to him as Vari Kane, which is good.
Vari Kane.
Vari Kane.
Vari,
yeah, that one.
And Jason Kay, who evidently is not an Englishman, says, "I know you English love your golden boy, but he's a horrible, cheating, dribbling bastard." I mean, if you listen to Michael on the match ball, you don't love the golden boy, and you've been saying it earlier on in this show. Not arsed.
No, really don't care for him. I think we should send Joffrey into his place.
And do you want to read out Lucy's comment as well? Because I think Lucy has really gone in with both feet here on Kane, which is what you wanted to see, Michael.
Fucking big six tosser who will no doubt lead England to pathetically limping out in the group stage, disappointing an entire nation, yet will still be chosen by Southgate and inevitably Fat Frank to continue to be a fucking useless captain and a relentless whining cheat.
Excellent. The refs obviously got picked out by multiple people. The VAR for the whole push on Meslier. Lots of F-bombs in this. We probably don't need, it's been said a lot. We said it a lot. So, and Spurs in general, as we mentioned with Boney M. Any others? Well, international managers get picked out for leaving out our fine young men from their squads. FIFA as well for this World Cup.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Patrick saying, vote with your remote, do not watch. I mean, the problem is it don't make any difference, does it?
No.
By not watching.
From my time in TV advertising, I know the ratings work. Unless you're on the bar panel, it doesn't really matter.
So when you're on the bar panel, you get like a set-top box that records what you watch?
Yeah, there's about 5,000 households in Britain have them. All the TV ratings are taken from those.
Yeah. So if you haven't got one of those...
They've done it in a vaguely representative way, so they've got the right amount of sort of demographically the right ages and...
Split of ethnic groups and...
a sort of a breakdown of Britain, and then it's just factored up from that.
Same with radio listening figures as well. Like
that's even worse. That's just on
ridiculous.
A diary, isn't it?
It's a written diary. They do some like watches that listen to what you listen to, and there's some online aspects to it. But yeah, basically, like your average white person who's about middle-aged is worth about 1,000 in the population. But if you get into like ethnic minority groups, so if somebody who's say black gets a diary, it's multiplied a lot more.
Right.
So it's absolutely crazy. So diaries can go to X, Y, and Z. No idea. Completely made up on the hoof.
Michael, I feel like you're really deconstructing your time at ITV a lot more recently.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about it a lot more, aren't I?
It's like therapy, isn't it?
I feel like it's that award is giving you some security where you just think, fuck them.
I'm not going back ever. Yeah. No, but the TV...
Making sure you can't.
The TV... I did that a few years ago, to be honest. But the TV ratings, though, because people will be like, in TV, they'll be like, oh, no, that is correct if a rating's high or low. But then you go, well, what's it based on? You go, well, this thing, which is not all that good, really. It works fine, actually, for main channel stuff, because if it's something on BBC One, there are millions of people watching it, and there will be hundreds of people on the bar panel watching it. But when it's like an obscure digital channel, it will show us 0 ratings because none of the 5,000 homes happen to be watching, Quest +1 at the point at 2 o'clock on an afternoon or whatever.
Which is when the EFL highlights are on.
Exactly. So if you're on the bar panel, lie and say you're watching something else.
Yeah.
The rest of us can watch it and say it's shit.
Yeah, fine. So to conclude that point, that thought was, don't really make any difference if you don't watch. And it's something to watch on telly, isn't it? That isn't relentless. I'm a celebrity, strictly. If you're not into those things, watch a bit of football.
I will probably watch like every game. I've got to be honest.
But we're going to have to be able to talk about it. So anyway.
Don't have to speak to your kids then, do you?
Yeah, exactly. I'll be watching at least some of it with them there, which is only half watching anything because I'm normally getting
Bournemouth getting mentioned here as well, by the way, nominations, just the whole Bielsa thing.
And Everton, I guess, for the same.
In the words of Will Smith, keep my ex-managers out of your fucking mouth. Name out of your fucking mouth. Pascal's Barber, Dick Van No Control, says, Pascal's Barber, he's just a big, sexy catalogue model now. I want D'Artagnan back.
I think he can still be a pirate.
Sounds like you're trying to say you can be a pirate if you want to be a pirate.
You be what you want to be.
He's just cleaned up. He's just cleaned himself up. But he's back on shore for a bit and he's cleaned himself up.
Taking down the skull and crossbones. He's
having a bit of shore leave. If pirates have shore leave.
Yeah, and got some cream for that. Should we move on? Who's your villain of the week?
It's got to be VAR and refs, hasn't it?
I was going to say I quite like the idea of sending Harry Kane off to the World Cup as villain of the week.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Because he tried to run the refs, didn't he? So fine, whatever. FIFA can have it as well.
And he scored the goal. If he was a proper England captain of any substance, he'd have noticed that foul and said, "No, that's unfair. I'm not going to score."
Gentleman's game and all that.
He's a cheat.
Yeah, right. The Gaetano Berardi hero of the week. Let's also deal with the scores from the Spurs game. Rodrigo, your man of the match, 7.88. Just pipping Cree Somerville, 7.58. We've got Brendan, Rasmus, Ilian, and so on and so forth. Quite low marks, I think, for what was quite a good performance. I think this feels like a little unfair from our TSB Plus members. Jesse Marsh getting 4.06 out of 10.
If you take the last 10 minutes off, these would probably all be above 7, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Because everyone would be like, oh, what a brilliant win.
Michael Salisbury, the dickhead ref, gets 1.94 out of 10. Ooh, I think that's probably by proxy for VAR as well. Player of the year wise, Tyler Adams. We had to increase the decimal places on this. It's getting so tight now. Tyler Adams with 6.943 and Aronson with 6.940, with Meslier just
miles back.
Just the shade behind with 6.922. Willie Nonto has now got 7.254, but it's based on only 3 appearances, so we've got to decide whether we factor him in. At what point we factor him into this list.
He was rubbish against Spurs.
Yeah. And,
villain.
And Jesse, 5.16 for his season so far. Candidates for Hero of the Week. The main candidates, there are 3, so it'll be one of these 3. Rodrigo, who was your man of the match. Somerville just pipped, and Aronson just behind. And the weight of nominations kind of reflects that as well, doesn't it?
I quite like Marvin's because he said it's got to be Rodrigo. I've been very, very, very forgiving of him, and I was sat there watching and criticising him until he banged in 2, which I think is kind of what we were moaning about him a bit.
Exactly the same as what happened.
Early in the game, we're like, I've not even seen him touch the ball. Oh, he scored. And he scored again. All right, yeah, fair enough.
Which is a striker's job. So if he does that, fine.
Yeah,
because it's goals that keep you up in this division.
He's on track for like 20 goals or something this season.
It would be incredible if he scores 20 goals and I'd still go, I think he's shit.
Still we should get rid.
Because he's not. He's evidently a talented player, isn't he?
I mean, if he can get 20 goals, we probably won't go down, will we?
No, I say you score your way to safety in this division.
Because that's generally the problem teams at the bottom have, is that they just can't get the goals to keep them up. So yeah, just keep doing that.
And his celebrations are good as well. I enjoy the sort of flappiness.
He's just so confusing because if you listen to, I wrote about him for the blog, and like if you listen to Jesse Marsh talk about Rodrigo, and he talks about him like he's this wise old man, and he's like the leader and part of the leadership council, and he's so sensible, and he's all this experience. But then you watch him score, and he just turns into this giddy toddler, and you see him at Disney World. And I think I prefer that Rodrigo. Let's just let him be like the daft lad up front scoring goals.
I think that's one of the things that I always feel bad, and as I said before, like on a human level, as I've got older, I've got more empathetic, and I don't like the idea of criticising footballers in case it makes them feel sad. Like Firpo seems like a really nice man, but I do struggle with his football.
Yeah, follow him on Instagram. It's when you see him like just having a nice day out with the kids or whatever, and you think, oh, I don't want to make you sad. You're just like at a farm or something. Yeah. You shouldn't be sad around cows, should you?
And I really, Rodrigo strikes me as just a very nice man.
Yeah.
So I don't ever want to criticise him.
Joffrey's mum's knickers did. Although he does nominate him as there is.
You just wanted to say that again.
He's had so much shit, and he really wasn't that good again. But he still, despite being the worst striker in the league, scored 2 fucking brilliant goals. He did fuck all the rest of the time, but what a return.
Strikers are there to score goals. That's what they're there for, isn't it?
Do you think Bielsa's broken us on this? Because we spent so long going, well, Bamford doesn't really score, but it's what he gives to the team and it's the whole collective thing.
Yeah.
Whereas just having a striker who maybe just scores
look,
goals.
I mean, we've said enough about Harry Kane in this show, but look at how he performs. He often doesn't do a right lot, does he?
No, he's pretty good.
Yeah, but he doesn't. You don't see him like charging about, closing down, do you? But what I mean is,
he links the play quite well, does Harry Kane.
But he's just a devastatingly good striker when it comes down to those aspects of it.
Yeah, but he also does when he's playing a bit deeper under Mourinho as well. He was pretty good at that, putting through balls and.
Well, that's me told.
Well, I feel like as much as I hate him, he should probably acknowledge he's quite good.
But it was always the case with Nketiah when I looked at him as a footballer, and you start to imagine what he'd look like in our side. And I think, for what it's worth, had we got him in the summer, had he not stayed at Arsenal, he'd have been a good fit in this team doing the red ball penis ball, the red ball penis ball rather. Running off the shoulder of the last defender and going through the middle and all that kind of jazz. I think it'd have worked. So maybe in this system, you just need someone who can put it in the bloody net.
Well, we've got 2. We've got Somerville as well. He's good at putting it in the net. So he's nominated a lot. He's brilliant, isn't he? Turns out. I don't know why we've not been playing him. Just scores in every single game.
He's gone full Sonny Perkins.
He has. I kind of think he's just going to be in this team for the rest of the season now, isn't he?
For the rest of his life.
No, but
whether he likes it or not.
This has been his kind of. We said, was it the breakout performance was it Liverpool? Was it maybe when he first stamped his authority on the first team position, and now it just feels like he is just part of it, doesn't it? It's funny how that happens with players. Like for example, I'll give you like Joffrey as an example. Crossed the Rubicon into being first team contention, like too good for the 21s, but has never like cemented his place in there. He's still trying to get established, find where he belongs. Whereas Somerville. Yeah, I'm just part of it now.
It feels like with Joffrey, whenever he's got close to starting a game, he's picked up an injury and then he ends up back in that position of coming off the bench. And I don't think Marsh particularly does him any favours by bringing him on with 4 minutes to spare or whatever and be like, can you go on and like do the Norwich thing again? I enjoyed that one. Go and score another goal and win it for us.
It was like when Ayling got sent off at Arsenal last year and Joffrey had finally got a start, and then after 20 minutes he was taken off. I think Marsh even then was like, he didn't even play very well. Come on, mate.
Bless him.
We need to have the ball for at least some of the time to say that about him.
The outsider for this one is Aronson as well. Panchi wants to give him a nomination for tricky feet and a constant threat, but it looks like it's Rodrigo or Somerville, given the whole 4-in-4 thing, which, as Connor says, is a great knock.
It is. I feel like Rodrigo. He deserves it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Especially as, if you're going to sit here and say he's not been up to much for certain games this season, you've got to acknowledge his scoring record and the fact that he seems to have hit a bit of a hot streak, which is all we ever want from him.
Yeah, exactly. And he also ordered a very small Mickey Mouse shaped pizza the other day because he put that on his Instagram.
For himself or for a loved one?
Who knows? But he took a picture of it, and that was nice.
And that's all that matters. So Rodrigo is the hero of the week then. Our not international number 9 anymore. Because he's not off to the World Cup, is he? But like you said earlier on, Michael, I'm kind of pleased he's going to Disney rather than Qatar. There you go then. That wraps up the weekly show, which we'll take a break in its usual format. We'll be back with sort of the World Cup diaries across the next few weeks, heading into Christmas, and we'll be back with all the usual stuff just before Christmas. We'll speak to you soon.
The Square Ball Podcast.